Hello and welcome everybody. I am just going to let Zoom and Facebook do their thing, getting us to be live streaming here in the Health and Healing for Women Survivors of Trauma. I am so excited for these conversations and connections, allowing members of our group to show up and shine, as well as making connections that may help your health and healing journey. My name is Lauren Corthy. I am a fellow survivor and founder and admin of this community, all about breaking survival mode, reclaiming our body, reclaiming our life as survivors so that we can thrive, doing this through all of the spirit, mind, and body modalities. I have the pleasure of welcoming Jamie Hartwig of Neurowiring today, talking about mind and body modalities to shed trauma. So Jamie, I'm going to move the floor over to you and let you share your story and gifts and wisdom.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's nice to see you through our screens. It's a nice thing that works for us. Well, I'm the founder of Neurowiring.
Trauma. Oops, sorry. So there we go. Keep going.
I'm the founder of Neurowiring, and I'm here in Denver, Colorado, but I'm global, and I always have been. I'm here to help people do many things. I have 16 different modalities, but two favorite that I'm going to talk about today. And it's all about controlling the stress response and understanding these personal journeys with our bodies, because the body is the bridge, and understanding how important certain things are, what we eat, how we sleep, and how REM sleep plays such an important role in our memory changes over time. So the sleeping brain receives memory by increasing the imprint of emotional relevant information, while irreverent material fades away. So I got great sleep last night. How about you? I think it's important. I think we underestimate the value of that. So, I work with postures. I work with shaking out through a tremoring method, through a TRE. And that's fatiguing 7 simple exercises that can be learned and utilized in your own schedule and time, however that works for you. They're exercises that are really safe. They're almost military fashion, but I have 2 certifications, so I can do them in a yoga sequence in a very organic way. I have taught here with the prima ballerina and the ballet troupe here in Colorado to many athletes in our town, taught in colleges, and just having learned about this mechanism of shaking that's inside of us, this vibration that we can release stress and manage it and make it calm down the nervous system, basically. So when the muscular shaking or vibrating mechanism is activated in a safe and controlled environment, the body is encouraged to return back to a state of homeostasis or balance. And the reflex that happens, it starts in the major parts of the body. So after, I could show you a chart actually that would help you understand. In the military fashion of the way this happens, there's just these 7 exercises, okay? They're very simple, but I take you into learning about safety and why it's so important. After people do this, they feel pleasant and relieved. There's many, maybe they sleep better. Maybe their thoughts are more clear. Maybe their body has just released tension from small muscles or big muscles, but they're feeling a sense of peace and a sense of well-being. So it's helped thousands of people globally. And if you're new to it, it's so easy to do. I just do this over a Zoom, usually with people. And the benefits are amazing. It creates a resiliency in the body because it causes a very deep penetration of relaxation that naturally reduces stress levels. It can release emotions ranging from mild upset to severe anxiety, panic attacks, to deep fears, whether those are caused by stress or excessive worrying or conflict in relationships. Let's face it, we're all, some of us are smushed together. Fortunately, I have a beautiful relationship here in my household, um, with a wonderful husband, but there's all kinds of physical stresses and traumas, um, from the past that we can begin to release. So whether we need more patience or whether we are victims of some violence or accidents or PTSD, um, or a person who wants to just become more resilient and feel better, you can benefit from TRE. So TRE is more explained on my neurowiring.com website because it gives, during this short time that we have, I can't cover everything, but it's so amazing. It's been one of the best things, for me to learn about and to facilitate and provide for others. The other thing that I do is called neurosculpting, and this is basically a synthesis of meditation and a modern neuroscience. So it's really sparked a revolution, more than ever. We can use specific practices to create positive, lasting changes in our brains. And when conventional medicine offers no answers for traumas and deadly seizures, or we're just able to engage the mind and the body in a connection to shape our neural pathways with positive choices, because I give you autonomy when we are toggling the right and the left brain hemispheres. I'm giving you choices to create new intentions, to rid you of old beliefs, to fill you in with new beliefs, to disarm stress triggers, healing trauma, and rewriting our new beliefs and liberating ourselves. I'm getting goosebumps. I know how all of this works, okay? Maybe we're dealing with unhealthy habits. Whole brain meditation, bringing your left and your right brain hemispheres into harmony, awaken a full potential. It's integrating also lifestyle, right? Our diet changes, like I started in the beginning. I was helping someone on a private Zoom last night that was so amazingly, excuse me, I almost dropped something, so amazingly grateful because the sleep patterns were not good. So this is part of our lifestyle, what we do when we're alone, how we honor ourselves. If I always say the two best prayers are, I am thankful and I am grateful. It goes a long, long way. A practice of gratitude. This to me completes that circle, adding in a spiritual it component to all of this. It is my number one. So as we create the ideal environment, we can heal trauma and just pull it all together to have a practical guidance for personalizing your own approach and how we do this. I'm I'm just fascinated by how we build our practice. Do you have a practice? And if not, come on board because we're going to really help change and squeeze and open more vibrancy into places that you just maybe weren't ready for. I don't know. So
That
that's
was
that's mostly, what's happening with me, are these two things. Although I have many other things that I do, let's just stick with those two because they're brilliant.
Yeah, so I would love for you to maybe share a little bit of your story of like how you came about, like, and how you've used this for your own healing and why these two. If you, I mean, you seem like you dabble in a lot of different things, a lot of powerful things. What's like, if you had to boil it down to a sentence for each, why these two and how they've helped you?
Okay. I'm 63, so years young. And when I was right about, let me think about this, my kids, I was 34 and 36. So between that, I had a car accident that damaged my lumbar. And making a short story, for 10 years, I was in chronic pain. And it was horrendous. Uh, I would try to lie down, and for about 2 hours, I could do that. But after 2 hours, I would wake up screaming in a pillow. I would walk the halls of the house. I had a big house, and I remember just like standing over the radiator in the winters because the seasons would go by over these years. And I developed restless leg syndrome. And that feeling where ants are crawling up your legs, it's so I couldn't sit down. I was, it was maddening. It was maddening. But then I decided I'm the healer. I will go to one specialist a year. Flew to NYU. I would learn about myositis, and then I would come back and do that for a year. But what ended up changing my life was that I got a window into the nervous system and learned about the understanding the sympathetic response, for arousal, including the fight and flight response, and how it moves blood to the muscles for quick action, and partly by triggering the adrenal glands to squirt out the adrenaline. And then I learned about the parasympathetic, which promotes the self-preservation techniques and functions, like digestion and wound healing, things like that. Anyway, slowing down the heart rate, relaxing the muscles. And this was so powerful. And I learned it through the breath. I learned about the inhale and the exhale. So on Saturdays, I work with a 7-year-old stutterer. And his mom writes me, this is life-changing. Because I said, don't give him any hints, but ask him, what did he learn? This 7-year-old says, I learned about the in and out breath, and I learned how they help me. I learned how they calm me down. It's so simple.
I just love how simple that is. Like, I think as humans, we like to complicate things, right? But breath, that one thing that we all naturally do and have control over, has such a powerful effect on our body. So I love that you brought that up.
And I think that, I had myself to rely on, because at that time, the partner I was with, the kid's dad, he wasn't supportive. Like, there wasn't compassion. It was just like, when does she ever have a good day? And I think that I'm kind of stoic, and I'll hold that sort of freeze response a little bit. and learning how to, as human beings, how we tune into our subtle emotional shifts, really getting in touch about everything around us, and the tension in our brow, or the wrinkle around our eye, or the curvature in our lips, and how we're angling our neck quickly signals us to either be comfortable or suspicious or relaxed or frightened or something else that we register from these inner experiences that are just internal adjustments. But how do we hold them? Because when I work with the TRE and the release of the fascia, this is key. This is key to knowing your body. When you get that slide and glide with the fascia, and you start to have your detection suit, it's, I know it's like a Shakespearean play we're here doing, but I mean, the fascia is key. Releasing your fascia. Now, the shake, remember, this is not like on my videos, you see me, I come in the room and I'm like, shaking it up. It's not that shake, but that's a good thing. We can shake it out like that. But I'm talking about releasing, letting involuntary muscles do this for you. It's simply, you sit there and you watch your body tremoring and moving all on its own. So when you're with me, I'm going to make sure that you feel very comfortable. Before we start, that you've been nourished, you're not anxious, and that, we're able to have this experience of looking at each other and just saying, it's okay. It's learning about safety and how, if we're chronically out of sync, how do we bring in those levels of safety? How do we respond to those dangers, and how do we recover? We have the recovering the capacity of how to experience safety, relaxation, and true reciprocity. Those are the 3 levels of safety. So when we can feel calm and relaxed and centered and pleasurable, we're able to get on with our life and have agency. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah, I get so excited when you talk about this stuff, because it's such a deep healing, right? There's a lot of modalities. There's so many layers to us as beings. But TRE, and when you speak of neurosculpting, it just feels like it gets to the root cause and allows that full release, or what you speak of, shedding. And that when we shed that we get to bring autonomy and ownership, and like you mentioned, agency over ourselves, and to be able to be in the moment and feel safe and to notice things and be mindful. And then having that toolbox, or that, that go-to person to help support us if something else comes through, right? Such power.
Yeah, knowing, like feeling in charge of your life and knowing where you stand, knowing that you have a say in what happens to you in your life. You have a way, an ability to shape your circumstances. And it starts with that interoception, our awareness of our subtle sensory body-based feelings. The greater awareness that we have of that, the greater potential we have to control our lives. And I love the neurosculpting modality, and I toggle these, like I layer them, rather, I layer the tremors with the toggling of the left and right brain hemispheres. I love that. So sometimes, like, people sign up for TRE, but then I'll say, hey, do you want a neurosculpt in there? Or they sign up for, vice versa. So it's so great. The body's the bridge, and, understanding that is so important. And then in the yoga that I teach, I'm doing a workshop on the 10th. That's a bottom-up regulation. So very interesting. Learning to listen to your body is going to let your body tell the story. Learning how to be comfortable and assume a posture to begin to notice that connection and how that resonates in your emotions and in your body, and how anxiety about a posture actually throws you maybe off balance, or you begin to experiment and change the way that you feel. And maybe the deep breath that you take is going, with my guidance, to expand that and release the tension. Is it in your shoulders, or, will you focus on, whatever we can peek into to discover where the burdens are.
Yeah, I think I love that, like you talk about the toggling or the layering, mind and body, they're so closely connected. There's so many feedback loops that's a beautiful way of like letting one feedback loop start, and you check in and you notice that one. And then you can just, really sink into that, and you can really just get to know you. And I love that yoga posture, and like noticing how when you're off balance or the anxiety you're feeling, using that posture to sink deeper within versus trying to reach that perfect posture, right? But to use it as healing. And the body is such a great place to start because it's how we experience this world, right? Spirit and mind and energy, those are there, but it's sometimes harder to get to those if we don't feel safe in our body. So I think what you offer is so brilliant, to be able to feel that safety, feel that ownership, and feel like capable of doing it.
And noticing your awareness in the moment, the only moment that we have. So that's all experience. That experience is transitory. So it changes your perspective on yourself all the time. Learning how to communicate with yourself and feel safe in your body from an overwhelm that just happened a minute ago. And understanding the burden of toxicity.
You speak a
What?
little more about that, because I think that's something else that's really important to bring up is toxic on mental, emotional, physical, environmental levels, how that becomes a burden to our health and healing.
Well, what we hold in our memories, in our sensations, in our belief systems, in our emotions, and knowing how to safely release them or put out the flames, so to speak. When you feel like you're able to take control, take charge in your systems and feel safe. It's about a lot of self-compassion. I help people restructure their mapping inside, their inner mapping. Mapping the electrical circuits of the brain to allow this beautiful symphony to flow.
I so align. I love that ability of like almost releasing to what we innately are designed to do, right? To release and shed those things that aren't ours, that are from the traumas, that are from overwhelm, that are from car accidents or medical emergencies. All of that, it dampens and puts the fog over what we are divinely designed as, right? The shining of our light, being able to step into our purpose. So I think that's so cool, that interior mapping, it seems doable. This doesn't seem like this is an overcomplicated or far out way of doing things.
Yeah, I think it's about really understanding what is restricting my life. And dare I tell the truth? Dare I tell the truth? I got goosebumps again all over. It's time, everybody.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It's time to feel better.
It's so time. And that piece of truth, I know for me, and you may have experienced this too, of that like radical truth telling to myself and like honest audits of where my restrictions are and where my power and control can lie. And it's scary. I know I've had conversations with lots of people of like, how do you face that? Like, doesn't that just totally transform your life when you face that fear and that identity or that restriction is removed? Like, it opens up a big, scary, unknown world. But it is time. It's time for us to do that.
Yeah, I think we have to make sure that we are being in constant. I was thinking about how we move into that watchtower and we're able to observe what's going on inside of us. That's why that mindfulness practice strengthens the medial prefrontal cortex located right above our eyes and offers a view of a scene from on high, calling that like the watchtower. And as we become more familiar with and befriend our sensations in our bodies, we can interact with the world. And physical self awareness is the first step in releasing the tyranny of the past. So, listening, creating a new focus for recovery, and befriending the emotional brain, and dealing with hyper arousal.
So, from what I'm hearing, there is that self awareness, mindfulness, attention with compassion and non attachment kind of are the first places to start. We have Dana here who's joined us on Zoom. She's saying this is great information. She agrees it's past time to do that. And she wanted to know if someone wanted to get started, how do you get started with this?
Okay. Well, I just say that you can just sign up on my website for classes. That's very easy. You can do privates or you can join in a group. And then if people from this group want to have their own group, we can do it that way. I'm really kind of um let's see. I'm not really too structured, quite frankly. I mean, we're going to have fun while we do this and we're going to get all the things that we need and we're going to cover everything. But I want to make sure, number one, first of all, you're on a Zoom, so you're in the comfort of your home and you're going to just be able to, I'll get you there. No matter if you're in one of the other groups or not. It just depends. Really, privates are always the best way to go if you have financial constraints, do a group. But otherwise, I think, which is what's really cool. Last night, this lady did a private with me, and then she's going to join in with a group because then, all my focus is to you. It's a great design because I think that I've always felt one-on-one is always the best way to go. But I've taught with 50 people at times, and I mean, everybody's going to get what they need. Um, you can do a consultation call with me. That's always available, or just dive right in and sign up.
So if it's okay with you, Jamie, I'm going to drop your neurowiring.com link down here in the Zoom as well as on our Facebook page. And so if someone's really interested in starting with this TRE or the neuroscoping or the combination, whether on one-on-one or group levels, that website is where they can go ahead and just schedule and purchase.
Yeah, and I was thinking that I do all these videos on Facebook. There's a lot of them, and they're very informative. I mean, somewhat. I kind of joke around with it and I have fun with it, but if you want, just look under Jamie Margaret Hartwig and become my friend. And that's another way to like see these videos, because it's the main platform I'm using. They're putting me into Instagram and what is it called? LinkedIn now. So that's going to go. But really, I've just used this platform. So feel free to friend me, and then we can do that.
No,
But I think,
I was
yeah.
looking for a way to see if I could share so they can friend you personally, and then you have your Facebook page. So I was just looking for a way to share that into these comments. So if people wanted to go directly to your Facebook page where all those beautiful videos are, I think before we jumped on here, I mentioned how I love watching you on video because you're just so vibrant and alive and fun. We need more fun. And
Oh my gosh. I
yeah.
mean, I really think that God's saying, you guys, you're supposed to have fun. What are you doing?
Lighten up a little bit. Yeah. I know for me, I tend to sink down into more of like the deep dives, the introspection, the analysis, and I lose that fun piece of it. I'm lucky that I have little ones because they kind of force me to play and be playful and to laugh and have fun. I think if without them, I would have a challenging time doing that without conscious effort. And I'm
Right.
sure I'm not the only survivor. So it's great to have other providers who that's just their natural state. It almost gives hope that even us can get there too.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I've had, I guess it would be called a domestic violence trauma for myself, but whatever traumas we're dealing with, we all register them differently. So I guess sometimes I think about however it's about emotional regulation, and it's so critical in managing the effects of trauma and neglect that maybe it's about breaking the silence of the unspeakable truth, or the miracle of self-discovery, where we're getting to know ourselves and tell our stories. I think that's the first time I've ever mentioned that. But I also feel that I've always been willing to stand up because whenever something happened to me, and I'm not a very big person, I know myself. I'd stand right up to it. Okay, what's going on here? but
now,
go ahead.
I was going to say, for some of us that I have some tendencies to do that I, regardless of what I'm experiencing, I tend to stand up. But I know I had moments, and I know there's other survivors that's not their innate
Right.
instinct. Can the TRE and the neurosculpting help with that?
Oh my gosh, yes. What this is doing is it's shaking out through the fascia. So we got to understand the fascia. But what it does is it releases psycho-emotional debris or buildup components that are held in the muscular tissue. And it starts out in the longest muscle we have, the 16-inch long muscle. I'm not going to tell you what it is because I'm going to have you guess. So we're going to learn, we're going to have a lot of fun, and we're going to laugh. And yes, it removes these uncomfortable spaces so that we can create together an optimal environment, an optimal practice. What works for you. It's like, yes, I can teach people about my class on the 10th on insomnia. It's like, well, headstands really work, inversions work really well for insomnia, but everybody's at a different place with that physically. So am I going to put you on the bed? Easy. I'm always ready to modify something. I mean, super easy.
Now, I had another kind of thing come through here. So, my wheelhouse is fitness, nutrition, lifestyle modifications. And I know one thing I come across with clients is um, not like the habits are hard to like sink in and make just part of the daily habit, right? There's a lot of stop starting. There's similar, like trying to figure out what exactly works. Would you say that things like this, that they kind of set the stage to be able to make behavioral change easier because you're no longer having to fight the resistance and, like you just mentioned, the debris that's still within from traumas?
Well, it's what my goal would be. One of them is to have you notice your behaviors that have changed and how you can change them in a moment to moment, day to day basis, day to day life. How we can get this rhythm that feels better between tension and relaxation. And when we're smack dab in the face of some kind of a, well, global trauma, the mask. I mean, we're sitting here in this way with these masks. Who can relate to me like this? Because we're human beings that are feeling beings. And when I'm doing this, everybody's in a global trauma. Right now, we're trying to relate to one another, but guess what? It's impossible. We, as sentient beings, feeling beings that think, not the other way around. We're not thinking beings that feel. No. So I try to have people understand a little bit more about the body is the bridge, and to remove these tensions and these stresses and these traumas on their own. I'm your guide. I'm going to professionally make sure that you are doing this absolutely right before I just release you on your own. I mean, I really think people should be with me for 6 months once a week. I mean, that's what I'm going to say right away. Now, if that's not available, I'm going to modify and I'm going to work it out with you and I'm going to do the best I can. I'm so giving. It is a natural thing with me. I can't help it. I want you to start paying attention and start allowing yourself to, befriend the parts of you that are going to help you.
Amazing. Absolutely love that. So we're kind of coming into the end of this session, but I do want to mention to everyone that's watching that Jamie's going to come on 2 more times. So the
Oh, that's
next
right.
2 more Fridays, she's going to come on and talk a little bit more about this. And I know you, Jamie, you're kind of free flowing, and what comes through is exactly what's meant to come through for those that are watching. But can you give us a little insight to what those 2 weeks may look like?
I have no idea.
Okay. More talk on TRE, so the tremor or release exercises, more on neurosculpting. I know this one we wanted to talk a lot about how safety is important, how being present in your body is important, having the guide, but also ownership. So I think we touched on all of that. Is there any one last message to all of the powerful women in this group that you would like to share?
I think we covered so much today. I just want to say it's my pleasure. I'm very grateful to be able to share the little bit that I know. And I just feel that learning about safety when we're chronically out of sync um, is going to help us appropriately respond and learn about response versus reactivity. And that you deserve to feel calm and relaxed in your body. Let's get on with it. Yeah.
Love it. All right. So what I would actually like to do right now, I'm going to go ahead and end the live stream here in the Facebook community. We have someone that's joined us live here on Zoom. So we'll stick around for a few more minutes if Dana, if you want to ask any other questions or make any connections here with Jamie. So for those that are watching the live stream in the Facebook group, our community, thank you so much for being here. I hope some of the amazing wisdom that Jamie shared today has lit a fire underneath you to get moving on this. You are so worth it. You are so deserving of it. And we will see you all next Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern for another beautiful talk about TRE and neurosculpting. So everybody in the community, will see you around later.